Several years ago, after a recovery meeting, a guy pulls me aside. He started talking about his child struggling with some of the same things I had struggled with growing up. He wanted help, and I gave it, but I didn't give him what he expected. And I've thought about that night for years. He wanted advice that would fix his kid. Instead, I told him something harder. I told him I saw patterns in how he and his wife were responding, patterns that felt familiar to me. I explained what I felt like as a kid, how my environment impacted me, how my parents weren't evil, just unaware. And I told him he might be repeating some of them. I gave him specifics. It required accountability, and he wasn't expecting that. He avoided me after that. Later, he got into recovery and started doing real work. And about a year later, he pulled me aside and said, "Thank you." He said that conversation made him angry, but it put him into action, and he and his wife changed. At that point, I asked him if he wanted to grab coffee sometime. He instantly said no, and we shook hands. That was it. Later, he asked me to walk him through more recovery material. I did that. When we finished, I asked if he wanted to keep meeting up. Again, he said no. But when he hit crisis, he called me, and I showed up. We talk. He trusts me, but we're not friends. Sometimes when you deliver the hard truth, you don't get the friendship. You just get the trust. And that's complicated. Now, I'm not saying that if I call him up today, he wouldn't take my call and we could have a strong conversation, or that he hasn't called me and asked me for advice. That's happened. But when I say friends, we don't hang out. We don't have that connection, and we certainly wouldn't go out to eat. I wasn't wrong that night, but I may have been early. Or maybe I was exactly on time. I still don't know. And truth and timing are different things. You can say something that changes someone's life and still lose closeness with them. And I'm realizing something uncomfortable. Sometimes being right costs relationship. Not because you're arrogant, not because you're cruel, but because accountability hurts. And not everyone wants proximity to the person who triggered it. That's a strange role to hold, to be trusted but not invited in. I don't know if it's possible to always be both the truth teller and the friend. I'm still learning. I'm not dialing back truth, but I'm softening delivery. I am asking more questions, listening longer, letting people arrive. Because I don't just want to be right, I want to walk with people. And maybe sometimes you can't do both. Maybe sometimes obedience looks like saying the thing and accepting the distance. I don't have that fully figured out, but I'm more intentional now than I used to be, and that feels different. Being right too early feels like being left out of the journey, and maybe the goal isn't to stop telling the truth. Maybe it's to grow wise enough to know when it's yours to say. I'm still learning that, and I'm doing it one day better.